Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Golf News RI, the podcast. I'm Joe Calabro. Episode 3 featured Larry LaFauci. You can check that out on golfnewsri.com, where it'll be there for all of time. And episode 4, we're so excited to have Rhode Island golf legend Charlie Blanchard. He's also the coach of the Bryant men's golf team. I know we had Angel McLeod on back in the fall, the women's golf team. We've obviously had ERI on, Greg Burke, a couple of times, so we're excited to have Charlie on. Charlie, thanks so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule and joining us.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, listen, we're just trying to bring attention to. I try to bring attention to college golf. Well, I think it's fascinating to follow. They just announced that Nick Dunlap from Alabama turned pro. After he just won the Amex last year, so kind of more successful college golf in general. But talk about Bryant, and as you guys start your spring schedule, you released it last week. We don't have to go through every single tournament. But some of the highlights were obviously the Dorado Beach Collegiate, which you've been for the first time, the Carpetbagger, which is always a big one. It feels like a big one. I think URI plays in that as well, and a couple other ones before you get to the conference championship. But just talk about, from your perspective, the schedule this year. Again, you don't have to go tournament by tournament necessarily, but just talk about the schedule, the spring schedule this year for you guys, and what you're kind of looking for or expecting.
Yeah, so yeah, we were fortunate this year to be able to get into the one at Dorado Beach. You almost can't turn that down. So it's a great way to start off. It'll be February early, so we won't obviously have a lot of time out on the golf course, but guys are coming off the kind of winter break. Most of them went down south or for a little bit of time. So we got maybe like a month before before that event. So hopefully they'll be semi-sharp. We're fortunate we're going down there. They have basically 2 practice rounds. So hopefully we can get some feel back around the greens anyways, and in those couple days, and then 3 days of event, and I'm hoping I'm expecting us to play pretty solid down there. A couple of the guys have seen the course already. So which is fortunate. I got 2 guys on the team that actually live down there in Dorado and belong to the golf course. So and over Christmas break last year, or I guess they had guys stay with them, so they've seen the course. So it won't be brand new to them. Be brand new to a couple of guys, but hopefully that familiarity will help.
How important will those 2 practice rounds be? You just mentioned how no one's really seen the course, but how much stock will you put into those practice rounds for that tournament or any other tournament, really? And how important
Yeah,
are
so
those rounds?
so the practice round is um, it's actually it's very important if you use it right, right? So you get to see the greens. You can hopefully pick out some target lines where and then how to approach these greens, where to hit it, where to be, and then I like to spend a little more time on the putting greens than on the golf course because you can save shots quicker around the green than you can from 180 yards. So we try to spend a little more time, and if you're lucky, they'll have pin placements out there for the next 2 or 3 days. If not, you just kind of have to figure out where they may be. Just get a feel for speed and break, and especially down in Dorado, the grass is going to be a little bit different than up here. So you got grain and everything else that's going to be involved. So hopefully we'll be able to take some good notes and have a pretty good idea of the greens and the breaks on them.
For you, as a great player in yourself, like I said, you're uh, a golf legend in Rhode Island, numerous amateur tournament championships. Obviously, you turned pro since. How much of your experience do you use to help your team, to help the kids? How much of your experience do you kind of
Yeah, I try to
give
impart
them?
as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because I've made all those mistakes already, right? I mean, I've already all the things that they do. I don't want to say wrong, but like they make mental mistakes. I've already made them. So I'm always trying to impart what I've learned over you know 40 years of golf. To try to minimize their mistakes. And how to attack with pins, not pin, pins you can, pins you can't. Places to be on the greens from certain distances. Try to be more of a, you know, uh, um, and the good thing about college golf is you can actually caddy for them. I can't carry their bag, but I can walk with guys and
Right.
we talk about shots, what they hit, where to hit, and I always I'm always letting them know, okay, here's what I would do. I would hit this, because a lot of times the smarter, safe play is the one to hit rather than trying to be too aggressive at times.
Mm.
If you got a distance and a pin you love, then you can be aggressive to your spot, not trying to hold it out in the air. But I'm saying like you got a spot on the green that you want to hit it, because the green breaks one direction or another, which you know which they don't understand. I mean, like all the the younger kids, especially freshmen, sophomores. By the time they're juniors and seniors, hopefully they've learned more. So I can spend more time with the younger guys. But I think it's very important. I think that's one of the big benefits that I can bring is like the course management knowledge and how to manage yourself around, especially when you're not hitting it good. Right, when you're not hitting it good, most people can't play golf. I mean, everybody plays good when you hit it good, but when you hit it bad, your scores are a million. Where when you're hitting it bad, that's when you have to really, you got to go to one shot. Don't try to fix it, and just play comfortable shots and get yourself out of there, and then work on it on the range later.
What's interesting, you mentioned you can walk with the guys, and I know you have Rick Angeli as your assistant now. He's been super supportive of us since we started. And I asked Greg Burke this when I had him on. How is he has Brandon Gillis as his assistant, but how do you decide like who you're going to walk with? Is there like a strategy to it? Is it, Rick, you take these kids, I'm going to walk with the freshmen? Is it just let's leave Tyler alone and we'll focus on, well, what's the
Yeah,
strategy like?
exactly. So we'll kind of before the round say, okay, hey, like if it's usually if it's somebody's first tournament, I try not to go near them. Right, they're already nervous.
Interesting.
Right, they
Yeah.
already got pressure on them.
Yeah.
The odds of them playing good are probably slim anyways. So I just let them get comfortable, and then maybe like day two or whatever, then I'd walk with them and try to help them. And the same thing with Rick. And we'll pick and choose. If guys are playing good, I stay away from them. I'm not gonna. What can I do? I can't help them. I mean, I
Right.
got one or two guys lighting it up. What am I gonna do? Right? I can't. I could just confuse the issue. So that there's a lot of that too, where you just stay away from certain guys if they're playing great. If somebody's struggling, then I'll go there and try to right the ship. And the problem is because there's two of us and there's five guys playing, scores count. So and sometimes if somebody is struggling, he can't get it. You can't waste your time with that one person at that time, right? You can, next round we'll help them out or practice or after, hitting balls. But if somebody's not playing well, it's we'll spend our time with the other guys that we can help and try to get a good score in the house after round one, and then we can work on the other guy in between the next two rounds.
This is you joined the Southland Conference in 2022. So you're about a year and a half ish or so. Obviously, for those that don't know, the America East, which Bryant is a part of for the majority of the rest of their athletic programs, doesn't have golf. So the golf team goes to the Southland Conference. What has that been like? And what's been the challenges, the adjustments to this point? I know you're only a year and a half, like I said, a year and a half or so in, but what has that kind of experience been like to be in that conference?
Yeah, so obviously, the competition's deeper, right? There's a lot. There's more teams that are, you know, better than like in the NEC. There's probably like two or three teams that were, and there in the South End there's six, that all can play, and I think it's good for us to push us, um, in that conference, and I think we have the guys. I have the guys that have the ability to play at that level. If we can put it all together, all five guys together during that week, I think we got a chance. I mean, all my guys can shoot under par. They're all solid players. It's just you know, you need all five of them to show up. We're not deep enough that two guys can you know have bad days and we'll be okay. Everybody's going to play solid. So that's kind of what once we get to the beginning of April, that's going to be really the focus on getting the five or six guys that we think are going to conference really dialed in for the end of April.
Okay, a couple of guys I just want to hit on. Tyler Dupree, obviously is your star player. Went to the U.S. Junior Am last year, or this past summer, I guess. Not. And then Rocco Biofor is a Rhode Islander, made his collegiate debut in the fall. And then Patrick Gallagher, who's a grad student. And then obviously a number of other players, Cole Haan, Sam Hood, whatever. But talk about what some of those guys mean, Tyler, especially to your roster, to your team. Going into the spring.
Yeah, obviously Tyler's our you know he's our number one guy.
Yeah.
He's a great player. Um, he doesn't really know it, but he gets in his own way sometimes. When he's not striping it, he struggles a little more than he should. And I'm saying like you wouldn't know he's not striping it, but he knows it, and then he tries to fiddle with it, right? Instead of just getting around. But I've talked to Tyler, and I mean, there's no way he should ever, I mean, 74 should be a bad score for him, no matter what. So and I got a couple guys, like you got, like Kale Cohen, and like he's a sleeper. Like he's got a great mindset from the being a great hockey player. He's mentally tough. Another guy that can light it up and take it low. And then we got a transfer there, Dylan Gallagher from New York. Went to FNM, and I mean he's had some great rounds. So and then obviously we got Patrick Gallagher, fifth year senior, and he's kind of he's a guy that's solid. He very rarely shoots a bad number, and he's always consistent. So we got four guys that are really right there, and then the kind of the next three guys in the mix is Aiden Azevedo. Had a great, played great this fall. Should have won the Connecticut Cup. He just had unfortunate on his second to last hole. Right, he just one bad swing cost him the event. But there's a kid that had a great high school career. Now he's starting to come into his own. Right, he's getting a little more comfortable. And that's the thing when you come in as a freshman. It's hard. You get all these distractions, right? So some of them can handle it. Some of them focus on, golf and academics, and the ones that try to focus on golf, academics, and a social life, they struggle, right? They have more struggling than the guys that keep golf focused. Obviously, Aiden this year has played some great golf for us. And then you got Cole Haan, another great player out of Connecticut that I tell him all the time. I said, "There's no way with that golf swing he has, he should be shooting 75." I mean, he's got tremendous club head speed. Hits it great. Same thing. Just just that mental aspect of golf of learning how to control it, how to manage your game. And that's what he's working on this spring. And he should be a big contributor to us. And like you said, Rocco Biofor, right? A great high school player out of Rhode Island. He works as hard or harder than anybody. He's hitting balls right now in the indoor bay. He calls me every day. Hey, come hit balls. Can I hit balls? But that's what you need. Those are the guys that get better, right? And you see that in college golf at any program, right? Some of them really work at it, and some of them want to work at it, but they get too many things pulling themselves away from golf, right? And that's but it is what it is, right? That's life, those are kind of the core guys we have right now that are going to be playing in the first couple events, and then we'll reassess after Daytona there in the middle of March and try to figure out who are the 5 or 6 guys that we're going to take to conference to give us their best chance.
Couple more things, then I'll let you go if that's all right. For you personally, for your own golf, I know you're obviously focused on coaching now, but what's coming up for you? Are you still playing competitively? Do you have tournaments scheduled, or what's kind of the Charlie Blanchard golf schedule coming up?
Well, I'll obviously I'll try to qualify for the U.S. Senior Open,
Yeah.
and then I would hopefully try maybe 1 or 2 senior tour events. Probably try the Dicks up in upstate New York again. And then I'll play like the Rhode Island Open, Senior Open, the Connecticut Senior Open, Connecticut PGA, Senior PGA. Because I don't practice and hit balls anymore, so you know, trying to compete with the college kids is a little more difficult since I don't hit balls. But the guys my age, I could still do pretty well with against those guys.
And then lastly, you're in a unique position to talk about this because you've done it all. You've seen it all from all different levels. But I'm always interested in the state of golf in Rhode Island, as far as junior golf, amateur level stuff, pros, and to some degree, we've had so many kids now turning pro, whether it's Patrick Welsh or Davis Chatfield, Andrew O'Leary, Susie Kavanaugh, the list goes on. We've had kids going to play Division 1, or not even Division 1, just college golf in general, whether it's at URI, Bryant, elsewhere, like Harry Dessler, Lafayette, and more coming, for sure, hopefully. But the state of golf in Rhode Island, when you look at it, and again, you have a unique perspective on it. What do you see? I mean, are we in a crazy time? Is this, I mean, it's a great time for sure. But what do you see about the state of golf in Rhode Island with all these things
Yeah,
going
I think ever since COVID, it kind of exploded again.
on?
I mean, obviously golf courses, some golf courses closed, but the golf courses are fairly busy, right? They're fairly full.
Yep.
I think Dave Adamonis said with the Challenge Cup does a phenomenal job with the junior events and for the young kids. And that's how they get experience, and that's why you have all those guys that are turning pro, the Patrick Wells, the Davis Chaffee, the Andrew Lee. They all played on that Challenge Cup, right? So you're playing against the best kids in New England, and they're pushing themselves. Like I always tell a story about Davis. Like I used to go back when I was playing, I'd go hit balls at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd go to work at 7:30 or whatever it was. I leave, and after I hit my balls, and every day I was there hitting balls, Davis was there. And then after work, I'd go back and I'd play, and who was there? Davis was there. So Davis would spend 12 hours, 16 hours at the golf course every day in the summertime, you know, and I just said, that kid's going to be good. The work ethic, as Arnold Palmer says, it's in the dirt, right? I mean, you grind it, you work, and you're gonna get better, right? I mean, puts that much time in, he's gonna get better than everybody else, and that's what it takes, and that's what all the great ones do. You put the time in, you spend 8, 12 hours a day. I mean, you can't not get better, and that's, and hopefully, with a lot of these younger kids coming up, they're seeing that, and they want to follow in their footpaths. They want to try to play Division 1 golf. They want to try to play on the PGA Tour, and you don't get there without the work ethic.
And how important is it? Because I said this at the time when they all started to turn pro. As I wrote like an editorial kind of thing about it. Uh, but how important is it for them to kind of keep going, to show that, hey, you can get to the pros from around? Because years ago that probably wasn't a thing. It didn't seem it felt like you had to move and you had to live in Florida. Maybe in some ways you still have to maybe go down there and play, but I feel like it's important. And like I said, I wrote about it. I wrote it. That's important for them to keep pushing forward to show that there is a path to the pros if you want to do it. I'm not saying it's easy, to get there from Rhode Island. I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you had like, early on, you had Faxon and Andre and all those guys, Quigley.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it out of Rhode Island, and then now you got this next group of guys going, being able to make it. And I think, if you're from the South, right, and you're playing always in decent weather, you know, up here, it's hard, right? You play like today, if the golf course was clean, guys would be out there playing, right?
Mhm.
38 degrees or whatever it is, the wind's howling, it's freezing, right? And you're getting the ball in the hole, right? You learn how to play in adverse conditions, right? I mean, if you're only hitting in, beautiful days, no wind, I mean, that's not hard. It's when it's blowing 30 and it's 48 degrees out and you can't feel your hands. That's when that's when that mental toughness kicks in, and I think that helps these guys. The being able to play in these elements, right? Because you've used to it, and then you see it again. You're not whining about it. Where all the other guys are, oh, it's too cold. Right? That's why I always say when you go to an event, I just, guys are whining about it. I just push them over the edge. Yeah, you're right. Oh, it's awful out here, right? All right. There's one guy I don't have to worry about. Yeah. Yeah. I just help them. Yeah. Hey, they want to whine about them. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking some time. I really appreciate it. And we'll be following Bryant Golf this spring, starting in late February down at Dorado Beach Collegiate. Charlie Blanchard, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. This has been Golf News the podcast, episode 4. I'm Joe Calabro. Hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.